there is a big conference taking place in the ATL, Power Rising. This is a political conference for black women that's going on right now. So one of our sisters joining us now, and we don't talk to her enough. I wish we could talk to her a lot more. Her latest book, Eloquent Rage, her new book, A Black Feminist Discovers Her Superpower. Her name, of course, is Brittney Cooper, but I love her Twitter handle, Professor Crunk. Professor Crunk joins us now. Professor Crunk, good morning. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
How's everything? Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month to you.
So did you make it to? Are you going to Atlanta for the conference this weekend? Did you make it down there?
Yeah, I'll make it there today. I'm going to do another event at Karis Books tonight, and
good.
then tomorrow I'll be part of the author showcase at Power Rising.
Well, let's start there. How important is it that black women are gathering in this way? I mean, I think we're seeing all the T-shirts now. We should all listen to black women. Black women, I'm sure you just heard Tom Perez on with us. Black women made the difference in Alabama. Black women stopped a white hebephile in Alabama, which something we don't win elections in Alabama like we used to. So just how important is it that black women are coming together this weekend?
I mean, the importance of Power Rising cannot be overstated. Black women deserve this space to, come together and to set up a list of political priorities that matter for us and for our communities. This is also one way that we're putting the Democratic Party on notice that they better take heed to these political priorities in the 2018 midterms and certainly in the 2020 elections. Black women are no longer moving through this thing as though we have no options.
Right.
We are really trying to move the needle in this country. The time is now, and it's incredibly critical that we make a shift in this moment. We cannot continue to do things the way that we have done them. We have done them in the past because we see under this Trump regime how devastated, all communities of color are. Black communities, but also Latino communities, are just being absolutely devastated by the policies of this president. And black women knew that. We knew it in 2016. We voted as though we knew it. And if the country had listened to us, we wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah. And so it's fair to say, isn't it, Brittney, that the issues that black women are most concerned about and most involved in tend to be the issues that end up impacting people of all races across the board, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about this, this asinine conversation we're having right now about arming teachers, right? And one of the things that if you talk to black mamas, you'll know is this is a terrible idea. And it's a terrible idea in part because it's going to put black children in mortal danger. Very often white teachers who have to educate our kids are scared, can be aggressive,
right.
Can, fly off the handle, and that's everything from, suspending black boys over, subjecting them to lots of suspensions, but also policing black girls' hair, and talking about how black girls have attitudes, and guns only escalate those challenges.
Right.
And so we need to be vehemently opposed to arming schools, not just because of, what we're seeing in Florida with these, kids who are courageous and wonderful for standing up, but also because black children are already vulnerable in schools. And so when you start to think from the vantage point of black women, black children, black families, then it becomes very clear that the kinds of policies that we advocate for really do help everybody. When we advocate for health care, that helps all Americans. When we advocate for, an end to domestic violence or, policies that actually help families, then we don't just help black women who absolutely need that help, but we help all vulnerable communities.
Right.
And that's why folks need to get on board with black women's political program.
I've never heard it put that way before, policing black girls' hair. I like that. That's a very accurate. I've not heard it put more aptly
yes,
than that before. But see, what I say though, let's arm teachers. Are they going to arm black women teachers? Are they going to arm black women all over the country. They, because yesterday they were talking about Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Okay, well, let's give guns to just all black women so they can defend themselves from inner city violence. But they're not going to do that, and I bet you
No.
they aren't going to give a single black teacher a gun, Brittney. That's the double standard. Hello?
No, because the system would be shut down the moment that a black teacher defended herself against one of these young white men who go on these rampages, right?
That's
and
right.
so, no, sir.
No,
Sir.
that wouldn't
would
happen
not
at all.
Nope.
You describe it in the book, and I failed to mention, folks. Let me mention Brittney. She's Professor Crunk, because she is a professor, of course, professor of women's and gender studies and Africana studies at Rutgers University. You describe coming to peace with your rage. Talk to us about your rage and how you came to peace with it, because I don't see anything about you that's raging. I love it, but what? Keep it up.
I mean, that's very funny, because for me, rage is sort of my constant companion in so many ways. To be black in this country and to be relatively conscious, I'm, riffing on James Baldwin, is to be in a constant state of rage. And so when I think about the devastation of our communities, when I think about the way that black people's life chances are curtailed, when I think even about just living through the heights of an Obama presidency and the lows of a Trump presidency back to back, that is enraging. And but I also grew up under the, belabored by and burdened by that angry black woman stereotype, and the way that folks think black folks are always angry, even when we're not really studying them. And I wanted to think about how anger and rage are legitimate political emotions, that they are absolutely reasonable responses to the conditions that black people face. And for me, I was so pressed to not reinforce that stereotype, that I wasn't dealing with the legitimate forms of rage and anger that I had until when I was a graduate student instructor, one of my undergraduates, a black woman, called me out. She said, "I love listening to you lecture because it's like the most eloquent rage I've ever heard." And I was immediately defensive. And I said, I'm not angry, I'm passionate. And, she just sort of pinned me with this black girl look. And she said, you're angry. And in that moment of truth-telling between two black women, I was able to own something that she could sense, and that she felt was authentic and empowering about my work. And it really shifted something for me and helped me to see that I was hurting myself if I acted like my anger wasn't legitimate. But if I shifted to acknowledging it, then I could have a healthier relationship to anger as a political emotion. And that's what I hope to do in this book, is to equip black women and anybody who's struggling with what it looks like to own their anger, to say that it is righteous, to say that it gives us clarity, and to say that we can be angry and still be, badasses and taking care of our business and showing up and doing our work and being clear about political priorities and taking care of families and all the things that we have to do every day, but that we need to own it. And for me, that owning it meant that it became a superpower. It meant that I was not at the mercy of my anger when it showed up in an unhealthy way, but that rather I could wield it as a tool in my arsenal to try to build the world that I want to build.
Eloquent Rage, the book, A Black Feminist discovers her superpower. Have we reconciled? Can we reconcile? Brittney Cooper, is it possible to reconcile black feminism / womenism and white feminism? Because we know there's been some tension. And while I think we've made some progress, I'll acknowledge that, there's still some things we need to work on. Like these kids in Parkland, love them. They're powerful. They're making a difference. But they were quiet on Trayvon. And, we got to show people that what Trayvon's mother endured is the same as what their mothers have been enduring. But is that reconcilable? Should we even bother to reconcile it? Where are you on that? Should we be trying to reconcile black feminism and the black women's experience with white feminism, or does any of that even matter?
So, look, my goal is not reconciliation.
Okay.
I'm a black feminist, and part of the reason that I specifically use the term black feminist in the title and throughout this book, I learned my feminism from black women. When I started to identify with feminism, it is because, I tell the story in the book, a homegirl that I went to Howard University with called me out and said, "What do you mean you're not a feminist? Of course you're a feminist, right?" And then I thought about who my mama and my grandmother were. And then I had some really dope black women professors who were like, feminism is a part of our struggle, because we can't just, get Black people free if we're not willing to think about the things that happen to Black women specifically.
Right.
And so that's how I learned it. What I will say is I think we have to have solidarity with white women. One of the things that feminism teaches us is that patriarchy, or a system of male dominance, affects all women. Now, it affects us differently if we, are rich or poor or Black or white or Latino or Asian, all of those things. But those systems affect us. And so there have to be moments where we can sort of critically decide that we're going to, work together for political goals. But that doesn't mean that we have to excuse the behavior that many of us all know and understand about the ways that white women can sometimes or oftentimes be treacherous. And one of the things I say in this book is white women have their own journey to go on around feminism. The thing that the Trump election taught us is that white women voted for a candidate who is no friend to women. And so they put their racial interest above their own gender interest. Right. And that's their journey to figure out. And I think that the way that they can figure it out is by paying attention to how Black women move and how we hold all of this complexity, that we ride for our brothers, that we will be in the streets for our brothers, but that we also have a sort of political clarity that the way that you save Black communities is that you empower Black women, that you provide for Black children, and that when you take care of Black women take care of everybody around us, right? And so that's a thing that we know because of the intersections that we live at. And white women have something to learn from that. And so this is in many ways my call to any white women who read this book, that they didn't invent feminism, that Black women can be about feminism and not have to have any sort of, things going on with white women, but also that white women and other women of color in this country have a lot to learn from how Black women move.
Of course.
That's what I hope. And I want to say this thing about the Parkland shooting. I'm on board with these kids. I think that they're really dope, but I also want to affirm, the things that Black activists have been saying about how many of the tactics that those kids are using, the fact that they even know to protest, it is because they have grown up in the era of Black Lives Matter. Now, they were children when, these are 16, 17-year-olds. Right. So they were children 5 or 6 years ago when Trayvon Martin was killed.
True.
But that means that they were formatively shaped by watching these movements and these protests. And that's why they knew exactly what to do when this happened. And so we need to give a lot of credit to the movement for Black Lives for teaching these kids about die-ins, for teaching them to push these politicians. So in other words, this moment too is brought to us by Black political genius.
That's good sponsorship. I appreciate that. Brittney Cooper's book, you all, please read it. Please share it. Eloquent Rage, a Black feminist discovers her superpower. Share this interview too, because we're streaming at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain at Professor Crunk. Lastly, which female character in Black Panther best emulates you? Which one of those is you?
Well, I just love them all so much, so I don't know. I mean, I would like to have Okoye's warrior spirit. I would like to have Nakia's, the way she rides for Black people all over the world. And Shuri's the nerd, and I'm such a nerd, and so I love all of them.
Yeah. No, it's great. Michael Denzel Smith, our brother, writes on the cover of the book jacket, folks, Brittney Cooper is the Black feminist prophet we urgently need. And I would agree with that. And I think that as a man and as a feminist man, I still think that I have a duty, and all of us do, to submit to goddesses like Brittney to keep us in check and remind us when we are on point. Sometimes we are, and I like to think most times we are, those of us who are Black male feminists. But when we need guidance and direction, we need to listen to Black women too, Black men and all men. Black women have really been making the difference of late and really been the moral conscience of our nation. Brittney, is this the moment? Can Stacey Abrams win in Georgia? What do you think?
I am cheering for her. I plan to give her some money. I think if there's any moment, this is hers, and I am pulling for this girl. We need it. But I also want to just say thank you, Mark. Thank you for being, a Black feminist man in this moment. Trying to, model for other brothers that it is possible to be about the work of liberation for all people, and also to, to hold our sisters up in that process. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be of service. Looking forward, folks, those of you in Atlanta and ATL, if you're there, great. If you're on your way, get there. Power Rising taking place, but get this book, share it with family. This is a good Mother's Day present. Mother's Day coming up, y'all. This is a great present.
It's a great Mother's Day present.
Eloquent Rage, a black feminist discovers her superpower. Brittney, congratulations. Very, very proud of you. You know we're here for you. Let's continue to talk, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, take care now. Add Professor Crunk, y'all. Okay,